Good afternoon and a warm welcome to a beautiful sunny day here in Misano in Italy. We are here on the Rimini coast in the Adriatic part, the Adriatic coast of Italy, about an hour and a half from Bologna. And we're here for the UEM European Championship Superstock 600, the first race of the Superbike weekend. And this really is a beautiful part of Italy, and in fact it's spawned some of the greatest Italian racers ever, including the likes of Marco Melandri, Valentino Rossi, and closer to home the likes of Roccoli, who lives down the road from here, and Lanzi, all hail from this part of the world. So the fans here know their racing, and they also know to stay on a Saturday night, come away from the beach and watch the Superstock 600 race, which is the fourth round of their championship, because the stars of the making, the future big stars, are right here this weekend in this race. Long way to go yet in the championship, but Misano, always a pivotal part of the year and an important race. Just coming up to 6 p.m. local time, so it's slightly cooler than it was in the afternoon, which might just help actually. And the fans have stayed. It's a beautiful backdrop here in Misano. All of Italy seems to have some fantastic viewing, but some great history mixed with some great culture, and of course the Misano circuit also full of that history. Taking a look at the track, as you can see, the air temperature 25, track temperature 37, humidity 64. Famous circuit. We used to go the other way here at Misano, but we now go clockwise. And of course we know it as the San Marino round, because San Marino, the Principality of San Marino, just a few miles from here. And in fact on Thursday, World Superbikes took a trip up there and did a little bit of archery to kick off the weekend and get some media exposure, whereas some of the fans, as you can see, have camped out in readiness for the weekend, and there's some great racing to come. In terms of the championship, it is a young Italian, Riccardo Russo, who leads the way ahead of the Dutchman Van der Mark. There's just 7 points between them. Calero Perez, who's got some injury problems, is in third, ahead of De Veltz, Chassot, Iger of France, Vitali, Schacht. And further down, Cavina, another Dutchman, Gamarino, who's going very well indeed this weekend. He's down some 50 points adrift in 12th position, but actually, having said that, that's still capable, with 25 for a win, of getting up there. Matt Davis, the young 600 rider from Australia, also having a good season out. And then a little further down, you can see bringing up the rear is Craizi on the Yamaha. And as we look at our armchair experts, let's talk to our armchair expert. He is, of course, Steve Martin. And Steve, I know you too love to spot the talent of the future, and I know you do it not necessarily on screen, but also off screen, because you like to listen to what these youngsters have to say and how technically minded some of them are. And some of them know exactly what they want out of a bike. Others are still learning because they're so young.
Yeah, I mean, earlier on today we were speaking with young Matt Davies, the young Australian guy. He's riding for the Go 11 600 Superstock team. And he was, he's one of the up-and-coming guys, only 16 years old. He's got a bit of a, he's got a head on his shoulders. And, he's the sort of guy that can make it. But as you say, there's a lot of guys that, at that age, everybody wants to be a motorcycle racer. But only some people have what it takes. In fact, we were talking with Davide Taddozzi earlier on today. And funnily enough, he said that it was very, very interestingly, he said that, when you work with champions, you get to know what a young champion's going to be like. There's a bit of an outlook of the area that we're in that surrounds this Misano area. It's absolutely beautiful.
And Taddozzi should know, he looked after the likes of Carl Fogarty, Neil Hodgson, James Toseland, and many after that too, and before. Yeah, Troy Corsa.
Definitely, and I mean, he was saying to us about that every champion that he's taught over the years, has had something particular about them, the way that they address problems, the way that they act when they're under stress. It's different to normal people, and that's the sort of things that when you're around the sport for a long time, you start to pick up. And you know, these young guys have to have that instinct built into them. And you know, it's the sort of thing that a guy like myself or you, when we're out and about, we notice in these young guys.
Yeah, no question about it. Slight delay to the pit lane opening here for the 600. An oil spill in one of the previous practices, and so there was a bit of delay on proceedings here, but only a couple of minutes, so they should get underway. What about the news on the 600s? What have we got to talk about?
Well, I guess the biggest news is the man who sits third in the championship at the moment, Carlo Perez, who rides a Yamaha, broke his wrist at a test here less than a couple of weeks ago. So he's qualified down the field, and he's racing. He's going to try and race. He's qualified in 26th position, in fact. But it's not going to be an easy weekend for him. I'm sure that he'll be taking some sort of injections from the doctors to ease the pain, but it's going to be hard work. Apart from that, we've got Russo up on the front row, which is where we expected him to be. The pilot from down south, well down south in Italy. They don't even have a track where he comes from, down in Napoli.
Is he a Sicily boy?
Yeah, he's down that way. So he's probably...
Napoli.
Napoli, yeah.
They are, yeah. Well, they've got a good football team down there, or they used to.
Yeah, they certainly have. But, you know, he's probably the man to keep an eye on. But also on the front row, we've got Vitali, who's done well, and also Gamarino on the Kawasaki. So we haven't seen a Kawasaki up there for a while.
Who's impressed you this season?
Well, you know, I guess there's many different guys. Chazal, the Swissman, for a start, who raced in Super Sport last year and has come through to this Superstock. You know, Swiss aren't really known for their motorsport. They've got Luthi, the world champion in 125, but other than that, it's spread fairly thin. So he's actually impressed me on the Honda.
Well, it's another place with not many tracks.
Exactly. I mean, there are quite a few, but you know, Chesau, especially here this weekend, has managed to match Van der Mark. I mean, Van der Mark has been the boy on the Honda doing the business. I mean, 42.8 Van der Mark did here in qualifying, but Chesau also 42.8. So he's starting to find his form on this 600 Honda and take it to the boys up the front. This is actually a track where the Hondas might be able to do well, although if we look at the history since 2005 that we've been racing this class at this circuit, Jonathan, the Honda has only won once. We've had 5 wins by Yamaha and a win by Kawasaki, all the way back by, believe it or not, in 2006 by Davide Giuliano.
And he's going very good in World Superbike. Quick wave there, all the family out as we look on with the officials to get ready for the start procedure for the 600, which will be imminent in a few minutes. Impressed with Morbidelli, his first pole position. Is it local track knowledge? We've seen so many Italians on the front.
Yeah, sure. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's been these guys, they live in and about here and they come to this track and ride around here, just like you guys at home go to your local track. So this is local track, and when you're a young guy, there's no, you don't have a wealth of knowledge. You've got to remember how young all these guys are in this class. So basically, they just get to learn as they go. I mean, take Matt Davies for example. He's only ridden around this track for 2 hours before, and he's going to take on guys like Morbidelli, who have probably done 1 million laps around here.
And they also, a lot of them have raced either in the Italian Championship and continue to do so. That's the oil spill we were talking about from earlier. Yeah,
offline, but they've done a good job at cleaning that oil up. Should be ready for racing. We should see a good race anyway in this 600 class here at Misano. It always brings close racing. And these little 600s, the guys are so evenly matched that we're going to see a bit of a cracker of a race this afternoon.
Steve, you've raced here a bunch of times. I know not necessarily the configuration that we won't go around now, but you've been pole here, you know what it takes here, you know the grip levels here, and you also know where to pass here. So give me an idea on that idea, because there's not too many places to pass.
No, there's not. But the beauty about these little 600s is that because they're not as fast as a big superbike, for say, like they're a fair bit slower in the straight line. what you get, Jonathan, is you get a little bit more room for the slipstream and the overtake, because you can get that little bit of an extra drag down the chute. So there are opportunities more so on the 600 here to overtake than perhaps on a superbike. For sure, a good opportunity is into turn 1. But you've got to be careful through turn 1 and turn 2. As we've seen in years gone by, there's lots of accidents on the change of direction there.
Nice hat.
Very nice hat.
Get you a hard hat like that, Steve.
It's a nice one there.
Send you out there.
As the any girls head down onto the grid.
They're not just any girls.
No, they're not.
They're very special girls.
Into Tremonto, turn 10. Another area worth mentioning as a possible overtake. You can easily slip up the inside there. And if you've got the big Curvoni turn 11, which is flat out in 5th gear.
That's one of the most exciting corners
it is.
In our schedule. In fact, if I was going to put I think we should do that maybe one day, is to put a sort of ultimate world superbike track of the corners that we love. Brands Hatch, I think, from old days, Paddock Hill Bend would be one of them. Down the hill there. Definitely Curvoni. And there's some good Curvonis out there right now.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot here at Misano. I'd have to agree with you there.
What's your favourite corner?
My favourite corner at this circuit would have to be probably into Tremonto.
And Steve's private airline coming in again, bringing some more passengers in.
Windjet, that's probably about as much as I can afford at the moment too, I'd say. But, yeah, you know, in general, I just have a good feeling about this track. I mean, I've done a few laps around here. It's a bit of a tightish track. But, you know, it's a nice track. A lot of the guys have got a lot of good stuff to say about it. It's obviously fairly new. If you think back, water drainage used to be a bit of a problem. I can remember when they had the MotoGP here a few years ago, and it flooded.
So where are we here?
This is the...
Rio, isn't it?
This curve of the Rio. See, turn... no, sorry, I think it's...
Caro.
Yeah, Caro. It's just the start of the last split. You second gear tight corner where you head out of there, then you click into third gear, then through turn 15 and then into the last corner. So we'll point that out on the warm-up lap. Definitely something that the guys are going to have to keep an eye on is that oil, Jonathan, because the oil on the track, they've just finished the Superstock 1000 practice, but in racing, it's another story. You know, the guys are going to be all over the circuit, so they really do need to get that oil cleaned up thoroughly to get these little 600s out on track. You can see now everybody heading out with the wheels. Pretty stock machines, these little 600s. No titanium allowed, which is allowed in pretty much every other class here. To keep the costs down, of course. Trying to cut costs everywhere.
Clearly.
Fiberglass fairings. Standard engines.
No, I think those are a real teeth.
Could be. One bike per rider, no spare bike, no spare chassis.
There's Mr. Davis, Matt's dad.
Yeah, he's out there. Matt had not a bad qualifying, qualified in 19th position. You've got to remember, he's only ridden for 2 hours here before. There's a bit of rain this morning. He's had a little bit of setup problem, but they've got that under control now. And I'll tell you, if there's a good starter in that bunch, keep an eye on him. I don't know where he learned as a 16-year-old to get off the line as good as he does, but he certainly can get off the line on that machine.
So this is the scene set here. You're looking at the first corner, so it's going to be tied into there, Steve. It's the first time I've looked at it that closely in terms of thinking about how tight that is going to be for this big field of over 30 riders hooning into there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks tight from there. You want to be on one of those bikes heading into that corner.
Yeah, it gets tighter and tighter, I'll bet.
And that's what makes it so critical to get a really good start here at this circuit. It's a bit of a concertina effect through turn 1, 2 and 3. And also turn 4, 5 and 6. It sort of spreads the field out quite quickly. So if you're going to get a good start, you want it to be here at Monza, especially in a race, let's say, not as long as a superbike race. We race for 20, 21 laps around here in a superbike. These little 600 races, only 12 laps, so you haven't got time to make a mistake in the first few laps. You really do need to keep an eye on the ball, get out in front.
Just to remind you, Riccardo Russo, the man we were talking about before on the Yamaha R6, has won 2 of the 3 races so far. Nacho Calo Pereiros has taken 2 runner-up spots, but as you pointed out, he's injured this weekend. And then there's Gauto de Veltz, who is definitely coming on song at the moment. Michael van der Mark, we haven't mentioned yet, but he was a big factor last year and will be a big factor this year. He, of course, the junior 10-carter man. Marco Simoncelli, as the track is now known, and I mentioned all those greats. Marco Simoncelli is one of them that was born not far from here, grew up racing mopeds around here. Sadly no longer with us, but Misano remembers him now and has named the circuit in his name.
Yeah, what a fantastic thing for those guys to do.
Just to remind you of the championship standings as it goes into Misano. Riccardo Russo of Italy leads the way with 2 wins, 61 points. Van der Mark, 54. Calo Perez, 50 points. He's in 3rd place with 2 second places so far. De Veltz in 4th position, but seemingly not here on the grid this weekend.
He's not here, so we'll have to look into that.
Gives Chausseur, the Swiss rider, a chance, though. He's in 5th place, 16 points behind. Iger, likewise, he's been showing good, the young Frenchman. Then Vitali, of course, starting on the front row and currently in 7th in the championship. So, good chance for Luca Vitali of Italy to come through from the outside of row 1. In fact, would you argue that the outside of row 1's not a bad spot to start from because of the right-hander you're going into?
Yeah, definitely. It's anywhere on the front row here is good, but if you're on the right-hand side, you can nip up the inside.
Or at least get a good start and maybe block somebody into that first corner.
The problem with block passing into that turn 1 is that the guy on the left is coming with such speed that it's a little bit
That's
dangerous.
what you want, Steve.
What is that?
That is a remote control camera.
That is cool.
Isn't that mega?
You wouldn't want that to fall out of the sky when you're on the qualifying lap, would you?
Well, no, but I'd like to get some shots from it.
Yeah, I bet we're going to see some good ones. That's innovation.
That's entertainment.
That's the future. And this is the future right here.
Of motorcycle racing, indeed. It's the grid then for the Superstock 600 European Championship.
Yeah, we've got pretty much an Italian front row. 3 Yamahas and the Kawasaki. Going to be interesting to see what Gamarino can do on the Kawasaki. Been a while since we've seen a Kawasaki up the front, so keep an eye on him.
But for all intents and purposes, that Kawasaki is a pretty good 600.
We saw Josh Day have some brilliant races last year with that machine.
Yep.
There is Morbidelli with his Yamaha R6. In the pole position, 42.6.
How's that as a time?
That's pretty impressive, really, when you consider that a full-blown superbike is in the 35. So, like the base 600 model, 5 or 6, 7 seconds slower. Pretty impressive stuff when you consider these guys don't even have soft racing slicks to do that time. What they have is they have SC2, which is a medium compound tyre. The reason that they use that medium compound tyre is to obviously make them last, and they only have 3 sets for the weekend.
Now there's a lid, Steve. That's what you need.
That is a cool lid, isn't it? That just needs a monster emblem on it, and the guy's got the full deal going on.
He has got it going on. It's cool, though. I've never seen one like that.
That, of course, is Gamarino. 2nd position there on the grid. Difficult for these guys. They don't get a lot of track time. They did their qualifying around about lunchtime today. That was also their morning warm-up, straight into racing. 12 laps around here. Still hot here this afternoon. Like one of those Giuliettas. I don't know about you. Nice car.
Yeah, but no, you drive it too fast, do you?
Not me.
No?
There is Riccardo Russo. Believe it or not, no relation. He's being looked after by the great Beppo Russo, who is responsible for building engines for the Belgarda Italia team, building engines for Haga. And there he is in the background there with the crew cut. Beppo Russo, one of the more famous engine builders in Italy.
Maddaloni, that's where Russo hails from. He's just 19 years of age. There's Luca Batali on the outside, the man I mentioned earlier, who, if he gets a good start, could possibly make some places up right from the start. The man from Rimini, couldn't be a better place for him to race. This is his home race, just 20 years of age.
Well, I would guess if he's from Rimini, he rides a push bike, and they have push bike races around this circuit. He would have done 1,000,000 laps on a motorbike and 1,000,000 laps on a push bike around here.
Well, the chief cheese from Holland in Gouda is this man, Michael van der Mark, 19 years old, on the EAB 10-carter junior team. Nice kid.
Yeah, he's a nice kid. We've spent a bit of time with him. He's definitely dedicated to racing, and he's got himself right in the best spot in the 10-carter junior team. There's Chesau.
Bastien Chesau from Lausanne. What's Lausanne like for developing races?
Well, believe it or not, Bertrand Stay come from around that area, Lausanne, the lake area. It's in the southwest of Switzerland. Not many racetracks there, but you know, obviously this young guy can cut it in this class, especially when he's doing those sort of times. You know, pretty impressive to be up there with Van der Mark.
So the Giuliettas head out to make sure the track is safe as we take a look at Tony Cavina.
Second Kawasaki man on the grid. He'll have Gamarino in his sights. Gamarino just over to his left a little bit. He'll be aiming for the gap, perhaps, between Russo and Gamarino. Get into turn one.
Go 11 got a big presence here this weekend, and of course in the championship. It must be an expensive outlay to have a big team like that.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. But obviously they've got it under control, the Go 11. Believe it or not, Go 11 have been here. I know it's new to us. They came here with Kawasaki last year, and it's sort of the first time we noticed them. But believe it or not, Go 11 were here with KTM a few years ago as well. So that team transformed from the KTM Superstock team into this great presence that they've got now with Matt Davies, with guys like Cavina and also Gamarino. So it's no surprise for me that they're still here and going strong and getting stronger.
Now, one man we haven't mentioned in a run-up to this race is Francesco Cocco, who also has impressed me. He's just 16, Steve, and you know, he's another Italian we should keep an eye on.
Definitely, especially here. He rides obviously for the Yamaha Pata team, another man, Yamaha mounted. It's going to be a guy that we need to keep a look on. Here we go. Here's young Nestrovic.
A man following in the footsteps of the younger days of Steve Martin, young Aussie.
Now, I'm sure that he'd be probably more trying to follow the footsteps of Michael Doohan or Troy Bayliss if he's smart.
He's in Team MTM, which shows me he's smart, because that's a good team.
Well, that's Jed Metcher's old team.
Yep.
And Jed Metcher won the championship last year, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Lucas Salvadori is the next man up from Milano on another Yamaha. What's the bike to have in this championship, Steve?
Well, most of the guys go for a Yamaha, but then last year, if you think about it, Josh Day chose the Kawasaki, and he got some good results, and that's caused some other guys to have, of course, the Kawasaki, but we've also seen Honda win. Really, it's, you know, they're so even, it comes down to the rider in this class, and that's what I like about it.
So we're moments away from the start of the first race of the weekend as we take a look at number 39, Sebastian Sucher. Another Swiss rider. So the Swiss are starting to develop some good riders. 21-year-old. Saint-Hilaire. How nervous were you at this time before a race?
When I was young like these guys, really nervous. There he is, Matty Davies. Young 16-year-old.
Got the Aussie flag on his helmet and the Italian helmet. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a doff of the cap to both his team, which is an Italian, and of course his own country, which is Australia. An English mechanic from Lincoln.
Just around the corner from you.
Not far. 51 is Filippo Benini. Another Rimini man, another local favourite.
I tell you, when you come to being an Australian or something, you know, another nationality, and you come here to race, there's always a bunch of wild cards that want to do you in.
Quite literally. So here's the grid. Morbidelli on the front row. A host of Italians. Gamarino, Russo, the championship leader. Vitali, Vandermark on the second row. Further down, Coco, Nestrovic of Australia, Salvadori, Suchet, then Ponson, then Manini. Matt Davis is out there. Mulhauser didn't qualify well at all. There's Matt Davis in 19th position. Marshall is in 20th. Simpson, 25th. Wilcox, the young South African, 27th on the grid. Yeah, a man from Johannesburg. There's been a real upturn of South African riders. We've now got 5 in the championship overall. And I don't know too much, as we don't know a great deal about the likes of someone like Jonathan Wilcox from Johannesburg, but starting as he means to go on. In fact, I don't think he's just joined the championship, 22-year-old.
There's that oil. It is actually into turn 3, so that's a pretty critical place to have that oil spilt down, especially at the start of a race. It's easy to stay on the inside of that oil when you're in practice or something like that, but when you're 10 wide going into turn 4, that could cause some dramas.
Let's hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't too. But you know, we have had a long delay. They've cleaned that oil up. The cement dust is down. Shouldn't be a problem. Look at that hanging off the side of the bike. That's some sort of towel or something, isn't it? That's not a good start. He should get black flagged.
Yeah, that's odd. I haven't seen anything like that before. So,
yeah, definitely not deliberate.
Everybody making their way around the circuit, somewhat gingerly.
It's your last little moment to have a bit of a rest, bet in some new brake pads.
I think I might just put my money on Tony Cavina today, because he's just got the right number.
He has, number 99, but he's at the wrong end of the grid.
Like Josh Elliott to me, that did.
Really?
Yep. Raced in this series last year.
But he wishes he was out there today.
Of course, Josh Day and Jed Metchett both moving on to Supersport. Quite a big jump, but they've done it. And that's what these guys are all about. Yamaha watching on. 999, Francesco Cavalli of Roma.
Francesco Horsepower.
Yeah. Perfect name for a racer. It's like Scott Speed, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going to
or
need
Will Power.
He's going to need some Cavalli to get off the line today.
Through Curvoni, he'll need Cavalli. Here we go then. Superstock 600, the UEM European Championship, round 4. Russo leads the way and starts on the front row again, but he's behind Gamarino and Morbidelli. Look at that. That material is still on the bike.
Yeah, it's surprising.
It's just basically a towel they use to just wipe about. As I say, it's paper towel. It's not going to affect anything.
No. If it's paper, we'll let him stay out there. Carbon fibre, bring him in.
Here we go then.
Russo, the man with the head on his shoulders.
Round 4, here we go. They're holding him a long time. Out go the lights and away they go from the front run. An awful start from the outside of row 1 from Vitalo.
Russo got a cracker. Oh, look at the Kawasaki man. He got
Breathe in, everybody. Do they all make it through? It looks like it.
So far, but there's a lot of them.
Good start from Russo. He's well ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed to do. Whoa, Fugo wide there. Bit of a movement in the back from Russo.
Now got to be careful through here where the oil is.
This is where they've got to stay on the inside. This is the problem, that they're all through.
Nicely done, out of Rio for the first time.